We waited for Dad to finish his blessing before we started our dinner. It was still the same gesture as yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. After a few signs he did with his hands, we started to take apart our meal. This is the new normal for us, one that took nearly a year to get used to. But we needed to be familiar with it, for we don't know how many years Dad will still be with us. It all happened after a nasty car accident, which made everyone more aware that Dad could leave at any moment, just like his voice that he couldn't use anymore. It wasn't a miracle that Dad was still with us, and the accident was not as severe as we thought, but it was something we should be grateful for, as that we were still a complete family. That incident caused Dad to go mute, but no bother for me. I started learning sign language secretly to surprise him, hoping it would make him happy. There were not many happy moments in the family anymore, not since he got remarried and tried for another child. Though it ended fruitlessly, I was still the only descendant of my father in the end. There was much I needed to do for him, such as learning a language that only Dad could speak. I had to make him happy as an only child. Sign language was hard, but I tried to understand it as quickly as possible so that I could talk to him again. The birthday present I had for him last year didn't satisfy him as much, so I thought I would change it up this coming year. Tonight, I thought I would try to read what Dad was saying, just as a practice, trying to remember all the movements that Dad did at every dinner. Though I was expecting myself not to understand half the words, since I hadn't touched on the religious terms, I thought I would at least give it a try. Yet I could understand every word. Threatened with death if talk. Please go to the police. I dropped my fork after remembering the words. It took me 10 months to realize what he was trying to say. Dad had always been a philanthropist, and his work for the mute had led him to learn sign language, so it wasn't a problem for him to use it around us. It was more so that none of us in the family could understand the language, so Dad would rarely talk around us. He would only sign before dinner, and when I asked him about what he said the first time he signed it, he just shrugged. So I just assumed it was a blessing. Clearly, I did not understand my dad as well as I had wished. I glanced at his wife, my stepmom, and she looked at me with concern. "You all right, sweetie? You're not usually this clumsy." I took a deep breath and picked the fork from the ground. I hope she didn't notice the tremble in my hand. "I'm fine. Don't worry about it," I replied as I stood up from our dinner table. "I'll tell the maid to bring you another fork. No need to fuss. Sit back down," she said as I made my way to the kitchen. "No, I'll do it myself. Thanks," I spoke robotically, not pausing for a second to consider her words. Not like they ever meant anything to me to begin with. Nothing came from her mouth did. I walked into the kitchen, being as normal as possible. The maids had retired to their rooms for now, and I was the only person left in the kitchen. The silent room only made my thoughts louder. Why did he sign that? What did he know? Why couldn't he trust me enough to talk to me one-on-one and alone with no one else? When I was his biological child, he should trust me the most, right? I slowly picked up another fork from the cabinet and slowly walked back to the dining room. I had to act normal, especially in an abnormal situation. "Remember, my dear, you can never show that something is wrong. Dad warned me after my mother got murdered a few years back." The wrinkle between his brows deepened even more, looking much older than he already was. Our relationship was never the same ever since. "Do not show your feelings, especially when someone is waiting for you to. Hide your expressions. Never let others know what you're really thinking, and never let others know they've gotten to you. Never show how you truly feel to anyone." Upon returning to the dining table, I tried to put every bite in my mouth, but it was so hard to swallow. I gulped it down still, fighting the urge to throw it back out. Glancing at Dad's face, it gave nothing away. He was the one who taught me to fake it till you make it, after all. So I scuffed down my food as quickly as possible and went back to my room. Sweetie, done so soon? The head chef made desserts for us. You should finish that before you leave. The wife called out for me, and I paused in my steps. Her sugar-coated voice sent a chill down my spine. It always did, so I ignored her words and continued walking. She always tried to act like my mother, trying to replace her. But there were only a few things that could replace family. The sky crashed down when I heard the news of Dad being hospitalized from the car accident. My dad had been the family's support, and we couldn't do anything without him or his money. He survived the car crash, but we thought his voice didn't. Clearly, it didn't stop him from passing his message to someone. Anyone. I slammed the door of my room shut, and the moment my butt hit the chair, all the energy drained out of me. I slumped and feeling so dreadful. What should I do now? How was I going to talk to Dad about this? I couldn't go to the police. I would get in trouble. I straightened myself. No, I couldn't be deterred so easily. So I looked up forums about legal documents instead, scratching unconsciously at the scar on my arm while reading. I got that scar the day of Dad's accident. 8 stitches. Maybe it's a bad omen. I told the nurse I fell on some glass, which wasn't a lie entirely. At the same time, Dad was being delivered to the hospital to treat his much more severe injuries. He was supposed to head to his lawyer's office the day after his incident to discuss the content of his will. It seems like he never had the chance to write anything. It had been a stressful few months for me since the crash. I needed to gather more information before I could talk to Dad about his message. He couldn't go to the police, so I needed to act quickly. I had to figure it out before Dad's wife also saw something weird happening. And Dad, did he realize he was supposed to die that day? Did he realize it was a mistake that he got out alive with some injuries? A knock on the door made me jump and nearly fall out of my chair. Sweetie? It was Dad's wife. Again. Have you filled in your university applications already? The deadline is coming close. She peeked her head in, and I quickly clicked on another window on my computer before turning around to face her. Yeah, I answered, praying that she missed the monitor last minute and saw what I was looking at. I know you're in your senior year, but you still need to study for your finals, alright? Don't let your guard down, she advised. I suppressed an eye roll, or else she would nag me to no end again, which would only keep her in my sight for longer. That would not be ideal. Yeah. Another silence went by, and I didn't offer to break it. I never did. Not when she was always in my way. These were the only chances where I let her do what she wanted. Well, she sighed, seemingly unable to handle the awkward silence. Sleep early, alright? Gotta catch all the sleep you can. Yeah. She hovered at the door for another moment before closing the door before her. Looking back at my computer, and I gulped for the up-10th time today. This situation is stuck in my mind. If I manage to learn sign language in 8 months, someone could do the same, and they might catch up quicker than I want. I couldn't let anyone read what Dad was saying at every dinner, not with Dad's money and power. They would definitely listen to him, and not me. I unconsciously looked over to my walk-in closet, bouncing my legs. Like I thought, I needed to act quickly. It had been 8 months. Dad should have done something in the meantime, and it might be too late for me to act. I needed to think about what my next move should be, since I was probably 10 steps behind. I'll be in big trouble if I don't act as soon as possible. Who knew if someone had gone to Dad to speak about seeing me setting nails on the road from Dad's office to our house? Or worse, someone found the metal nails that would match the puncture holes of Dad's car tire in my closet.